Hey guys, it's Michelle from Lily Rose Craft Room, and I am back with another tumbler tutorial. For today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make this very popular football tumbler. I upload weekly, so make sure you're subscribed to my channel and tap the bell to be notified when videos are posted. Alright guys, let's get started. All the products that I use for this video will be linked down in the description below, so make sure to take a look. This tumbler is from the Stainless Steel Depot, and this is a football style tumbler. If you use code Lily Rose Craft Room on their website, you will get 20% off the first purchase. To easily find it, just type in football tumbler on the search bar. We're gonna start off by prepping our tumbler. So we're just gonna grab a piece of sandpaper and we're going to sand the whole entire cup. We're gonna get off all that wax coating, all the glossiness. That way the paint and the glitter can adhere well to the cup. So once I have my cup sanded, I take it to the sink and I wash it with soap and water to get off all the debris and the dust. And then we are going to make our split of the tumbler. So I simply just take a marker and I mark the center of the cup. I mark 2 dots on the top of the cup and I kind of just eyeball like the half of it. And then I'm gonna do the same to the bottom of the cup. So I just get a piece of paper, or you can get a ruler or whatever, just to align the dots together. And you're gonna do that to the other side as well. Next, we're gonna get a piece of painter's tape. So we're just going to tape like at the edge of the marks. That way we can still see it because that's gonna be the half mark. And we're just gonna go along the cup and tape it off. And that is gonna be our half and half. After that, you wanna press on the tape really good. That way the paint doesn't seep to the other side. Next, I'm gonna be making a custom glitter mix. So unfortunately, I don't sell glitter anymore, but if you have my glitters, these are the ones that I'm going to be using. I'm just mixing a little bit of green with a little bit of silver to give the color an extra pop. Next, I'm just going to mix up these colors together, and I wasn't really totally filling it, so I added a little bit more of the silver. And the cool thing about mixing your own custom glitters is that it makes you stand apart from other people and other people's tumblers, because yeah, we all have green, but if you add a little silver to it or a little bit holographic to it, it makes you stand out. So that's the cool thing about mixing your own glitters. And I always recommend like mixing it in small portions, like a little medicine cup. That way, if you don't like it, there's not much glitter wasted. So let me know in the comments below, do you mix your own glitters? Because if not, it's time to do so. And then now I'm gonna mix the brown. So I just had a basic brown color and it was a little boring, so I added a little silver to it. It's a little bit chunky also, and mixed together it gives it a really like chunky, holographic, but still fine color. Next, we're gonna mix a little acrylic paint with some Mod Podge. That way we make the adhesive for the glitter. You're just gonna squirt a little bit of the green inside the Mod Podge, and then you're gonna mix it up. And this green is by Craft Smart and it's called Holiday Green. Next, we're gonna apply our Mod Podge and acrylic paint to the tumbler. And we're gonna use a paintbrush and we're just going to brush it evenly around that half of the cup. And while that adhesive is still wet, you're gonna apply your glitter. Make sure you get the whole entire cup. I did run out of my little medicine cup glitter, so I just placed my tumbler down and I funneled my glitter back into my medicine cup, and I did it again like 2 or 3 times. I only had to do 1 coat of the glitter because with the paint and the glitter, it was full coverage. And right after you pour that glitter, while that paint is still wet, you want to make sure you pull off that painter's tape, because if you wait for it to dry, there's a chance that that paint might pull up. So always remember, take off the tape while it's still wet. Next, I'm gonna take the tumbler outside and I'm gonna spray it with this clear Rust-Oleum. You can use matte or gloss, it doesn't matter. So you're just gonna seal in all that glitter. And this is my go-to after every like glitter coat, because I don't want the glitters mixing in with each other. So this makes sure it really stays in place. Next, while I wait for my tumbler to dry, probably about like 30 minutes, I'm gonna start mixing my brown paint. So I mix a Mod Podge with some brown acrylic paint. The paint is called Espresso. So I'm just gonna mix that really well, and then I'm gonna brush it onto my tumbler. I'm not gonna use painter's tape this time. I'm just gonna freehand it. So very carefully with your paintbrush, you just wanna push back against the green. So if you get some on the green, don't worry, we're gonna put a piece of vinyl right there, so it's gonna like define the green from the brown. But still be very careful not to get it like too bad. But if you think you can't put like a straight line or your hand is like too shaky, you can go ahead and put painter's tape. So once I got the brown all over that half of the tumbler, I'm gonna go in with my little custom glitter medicine cup and just sprinkle that around. It's okay if it gets on the green part because it's dry and sealed, so it's gonna shake right off if you happen to get brown on it. And then once I'm done pouring all my glitter, I'm going to take it outside and spray the whole entire cup again with that clear Rust-Oleum. That way, once I put my epoxy, that glitter is not moving anywhere. It's gonna stay in place and not mix with each other. Then after, I'm gonna let the cup sit for about an hour or two to make sure it's fully dry before we epoxy. Next, I'm gonna be using my favorite epoxy. It's Alumilite Quick Coat Epoxy. So we're gonna be using 1:1 ratios. So 10 mLs of part A and 10 mLs of part B. And then you're gonna stir it slowly until it's clear. And you wanna make sure it's clear and not foggy or stringy because you're gonna have problems with your epoxy curing. It's not gonna cure, it's gonna stay sticky. So you always wanna make sure your epoxy mix is clear. And then after that, you wanna apply it to your tumbler with a gloved hand. You want to apply it evenly all over the tumbler. Next, right after I apply the epoxy, I like to take my heat torch and I just give my tumbler a quick pass to pop any micro bubbles that it might have. So this is about 4 hours later. I'm going to give the tumbler a second coat of epoxy. So this time I'm going to use a total of 10 mLs. So 5 of part A and 5 of part B. You mix really well and apply it to the tumbler. Now this is the next day after that second coat of epoxy is nice and hard. So we're gonna take a piece of sandpaper and we are going to sand all the rough edges. So you really wanna make sure you focus on the top and the bottom and any places where the vinyl is gonna go to. So you wanna make sure the cup is as smooth as possible. That way when we apply our vinyl, it's not lumpy. I remember the first time I sanded a cup after I applied the glitter and epoxy, I was like what the heck, like how am I gonna get this cup to shine again? But don't worry, all those scratches are gonna be filled in with the next epoxy you put on. Next, these are the files I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna link down below my Cricut link. That way you can use these and their size to this exact tumbler. After I sanded my tumbler, I took it to the sink and I washed it with soap and water. And then right after, I cleaned it with alcohol. That way I get all the sanding debris off the tumbler. Next, I'm going to show you guys how I applied my decals. It was a bit challenging since the cup is curved a bit, and I'm going to show you guys how I struggled with it. I forgot to mention I did cut these decals with my Cricut Maker 3. So first I am going to apply the gold color. So I put it on the edge of the cup all the way to the bottom of the cup and I'm gonna cut it off at the middle. And then right after you put your lines and your decals, you wanna make sure you really squeegee it on. That way it's really applied to the tumbler. That way when you epoxy, they don't lift. Next, I'm gonna take my blade and then just carefully cut the top pieces of that vinyl. We're just gonna bring the vinyl down a little bit. That way when we put the epoxy, that vinyl is gonna be sealed. So we don't want the vinyl all the way to the top. Next, we wanna grab our white strip vinyl and we're gonna put it at the edge of the gold vinyl, and that should cover half of it. And then we are going to apply our yards. So since our cup is curved, it is kind of difficult to get the line straight. So I like to put it on from the center and then kind of pull them down so they could align with the white vinyl. Next, to take the transfer tape off, I was kind of struggling with this only because my transfer tape was a little too tacky. So I had to make sure to really like hold it down. So that's that. So make sure your vinyl or your transfer tape is not so tacky. That way you won't have trouble. Next, I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. I noticed some little pieces got attached to my hand, so I just manually put them on after. No big deal. So next we're going to be adding the laces of the tumbler football. So since our tumbler is curved, it is tricky getting the papers straight. So I like to make slits on the vinyl, that way those edges can go around the cup. And then to align it on the tumbler, I like to take a piece off of the backing. That way it attaches to the tumbler first. And then I could just kind of like play around with it, see if it's straight or not. And to be honest, I just like to eyeball it. I just see like if it's even on both edges and I just go with it. This part right here is going to be the most difficult part of the tumbler. It did take me quite a bit of time to make sure that vinyl is not wrinkled. So I like to apply it from the center first and start working my way out. And once it started getting like wrinkly, that's when I started cutting it with my blade. So the parts that had gaps like the I and the N, I made a cut. That way I'm able to flatten the vinyl because I couldn't do the whole entire thing without it wrinkling. And then some of the parts I had to cut, like where the F and the ER on football and ERA, I had to cut them like right where they meet only because they needed to overlap or else it was gonna be wrinkly. So this part you really need to take your time and really improvise like the parts that you need to cut, because I'm telling you, this part was kind of difficult, and if you don't do it that way, it's gonna be wrinkled. And then here in this part, you can see me trimming the pieces that are overlapping. So here's a close-up of the offset letters. I was able to get them on without any wrinkles. So in my book, is a win. So for the next part, these I put them on individually because I know I wasn't gonna get them all in one shot. So individually is gonna be your best shot for the next piece. I wanted to show you a close-up of this vinyl because it's just so beautiful. And this vinyl, you need to put like a backing, just like I have that offset, the white backing, because that leopard vinyl is semi-clear, so you're gonna be able to see through it. So like I said, I'm gonna put these on individually because I wasn't gonna go through the struggle again, trying to get them all in one piece. So individual, my friends. Now after all our vinyl was applied, I'm gonna go in with another coat of epoxy. This time I used 15 mLs total. So I used 7.5 of part A and 7.5 of part B. You wanna make sure that's evenly coated all around the cup. This is 4 hours later. The tumbler was dry to the touch and I'm giving it a final coat of epoxy. So this time I'm only using 10 mLs of epoxy. So 5 of part A and 5 of part B. And like always, here is the finished look. Look at how beautiful that custom glitter is. And I'm telling you, you can make your tumbler pop by just mixing your own custom glitter. If you watched this video until the end, thank you so much. Show me by putting a football emoji down below in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel for weekly videos. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!